8:27. Coming up, BBC News Channel, of course, has the latest news from home and abroad.
And it seems that they have pictures of Television Centre there in the big screens, as Simon is pointing out, because, sad to say, it is their last morning from the historic Television Centre. We can assure you there is life after Television Centre, Simon.
Arguably, that picture there of Television Centre is not the best one. It's kind of a brick wall, isn't it? But there are
It's
other...
an iconic one, though, isn't it? So there we go. If you want to see historic moments after 8:30 on News Channel. Here on Breakfast, though.
The Rovers, it's on fire!
Oh, another historic building. It's used to being at the heart of Coronation Street, but tonight Rovers' return will instead become the centre of one of the soap's most dramatic storylines. Actor John Mitchie, who plays Carl, of course, here to tell us more. Steady, after 9.
For some reason, I wasn't expecting to see half-naked men at that point.
Weren't you?
In the midst of a fire
doing their little full Monty routine.
It all makes sense. We'll talk about it in a few minutes' time. Time now to get the news, travel and weather where you are.
See you in a moment.
Hello, good morning. This is BBC News with Sophie Long and Simon McCoy.
Hello, good morning to you. A summary of our main stories now is approaching 29 minutes past 8. A cross-party deal on press regulation has been struck hours before a Commons vote on the issue was due to take place. Labour's Harriet Harman says the Royal Charter regulating the media will now be underpinned in law. David Cameron and the Conservatives had been against statutory backing for the Charter, arguing that it would threaten press freedom. Legislation will go before the Lords later today.
Talks are continuing in Cyprus to try to soften a proposed 10% tax on people's savings. The tax is part of an EU bailout package which the country's government says is essential to save the island from bankruptcy. The Cypriot president says he'll try to reduce the effect on poorer people before a vote later today.
The Foreign Office has named a father and son who died while walking in the French Alps this weekend. Peter Saunders, who was 48, and his 12-year-old son Charlie were found near Mont Blanc yesterday. Mr. Saunders had called for help on Saturday after his son fell down a cliff.
Parliament's spending watchdog has said that customer service at Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs is unacceptable and disgraceful. The Commons Public Accounts Committee says in the last financial year, HMRC failed to answer 20 million calls and replied to only 2/3 of the letters it received.
The government says it'll accept almost all of the ideas in a report by Lord Heseltine on how to get the British economy growing again. The former Deputy Prime Minister called for more power to be devolved to local authorities, as well as the creation of a local growth fund to deal with skills, housing and transport.
After 53 years of service, the BBC's iconic Television Centre in West London will broadcast its final-ever live news programme. From 1 o'clock today, BBC Television News will come from new studios in central London.
Now, Labour's Deputy Leader Harriet Harman has confirmed that the three main political parties have now reached a deal on a new system of press regulation.
Talks between senior politicians went on until the early hours of this morning. The key sticking point was over whether the press watchdog will be backed by a new law. Labour says it will be. Let's go over to our chief political correspondent, Norman Smith, who's in Westminster. Harriet Harman says a deal has been